All right, everyone, we should be live. Let's make sure that's actually the case. Over on Rumble, of course, we're still, once again, I cannot drag chat down below the actual video as I would want to. It gives me an extra inch of space or something like that on my screen, and you can't, it appears, do it anymore. I'm going to reload this, and once again, I'm going to see, oh, please tell me that it's down at the bottom. No, it's not. And so basically we're fucked on that one. I can drag it a little bit to the side, I suppose. I don't like seeing myself on camera terribly, but I do like to actually, like, when I'm looking at myself, I'm now off to the side further than I normally would be. So I'm not actually looking at you like I am when I look at my webcam, but I also have to look at chat and shit like that. So I'm going to do the best that I can. It's a real distraction, fucking looking at myself. Anyway, we've got to talk about the election results from yesterday. It was not a good day for the GOP. Who could have possibly predicted that? Basically everyone that understood what the fuck was going on. Nonetheless, Donald Trump is getting slamma-jammed by a bunch of TDS sufferers for somehow being personally responsible for what happened in Virginia, Pennsylvania, and Ohio at the same time. We'll be talking about that because it's a bunch of horseshit. Also, Buttigieg's salary, Buttigieg, Booty Judge, whatever you want to call him, slashed to $1 per year. It will not actually happen, but this is a House bill. Marjorie Taylor Greene put it forward. We'll be talking about that anyway. So it's meaningless, but it's meaningful in the symbolic sense, basically. Also, Mr. Beast derangement syndrome. Yes, we're going to be talking about Mr. Beast, a content creator that I don't really watch. And yeah, there's a BP device over there that Liz's cousin has bought. It's supposedly to find her keys or something. And it keeps going off randomly. It does not require any particular trigger in order to go off, and I'm not sure exactly what the fuck is wrong with it. So that'll probably distract me. Maybe I'll hurl it out the goddamn window in frustration. Anyway, we'll be talking about Mr. Beast derangement syndrome again. A content creator I don't really watch, although I am aware of the fact that he exists, as is everyone. Also has his own candy bars. My niece actually is an aficionado of those candy bars. So it's Mr. Beast, who will never watch this fucking live stream because he's got like 200 million subscribers or something. Yeah, good chocolate, I guess. My niece likes it. She would like my YouTube videos, I think, but I don't think she's allowed to watch them. I wonder if that has anything to do with my colorful language. He's a little bit more family appropriate, although again, it's kind of the content creation side that I don't delve into. I don't really like the pop culture content creation. I like the old school methodology more. And he's getting dogpiled for the legacy media for literally nothing. So we're going to be talking about that. Gerald Armstrong. Sticks, people need to care about these off-cycle elections. Yes, they do. State Supreme Court judges get elected in these cycles. Dem judges elected equals gets to decide 2024. More than that, you also have ballot initiatives and stuff like that, but the Republicans didn't turn out in the proper numbers. Although they did actually, you did see a depressed Dem turnout. If anything, in some of these locations, it's actually not good news for the Democrats, but the GOP did suffer a loss last night, which was predictable. All you had to do was look at the polling. And they were pretending that they were going to take the Republicans were going to keep and hold the House in Virginia and the Senate, and that was unlikely, number one. And then that they would have the gubernatorial slot there in Kentucky, knocking off Bashir. That didn't happen. It was a bad day for them. But they won't admit it. They'll put their heads in the sand, blame Orange Man, and then they'll refuse to do anything to actually appeal to their constituency. E. Lombard, got your book yesterday. So good. Oh, which one is the question? There's another one coming down the pipeline tomorrow. I've already made the blog post. Timothy Finch. Graham's the type of self-loathing closet who would lose every single viable race just to vainly scream about how much he loves women and the unborn. Yeah, he's a moralistic jack-off. Wow, fuck the GOP. They're cucks and neocons. Viva independence. That's where I am. There's a reason that I'm not a Republican, dude. The Republicans can't stop losing. They're fucking losers. They finally get a winner in the visage of Donald Trump, and they throw him under the bus and refuse to defend him. That's the real problem. Professor Enoch 095. Can I get a shout out? TCG content, but it'll do. TQ. Okay, Professor Enoch 095. He officially has a shout out for his various content. Now don't worry, we'll be talking about the bullshittery, and that's thing's gonna annoy me to no end. Give me a second here. I can't deal with this shit. I don't fucking think so. Oh, and now I can't find it, everyone. Oh, here it is. Okay. I'm putting this outside for the moment. I don't know what the fuck is wrong with it. Okay. Yeah, I'm not willing to listen to beeping randomly in the background to disrupt my chain of thought. That's not going to happen. Swamp Donkey. Anton is one of my favorite African Americans, along with Elon. Just had their spicier biltong. Very good. Somebody said earlier in chat that they couldn't find the extra spicy biltong on the list on Anton's site. By the way, I have actually amended the link in the description to the merch page for Anton. There's two of them. Anton, who sells biltong, you should get some because it is really tasty. Trust me, very, very good. Also, now we've got mugs available. So if you want Sticks, Hex, and Hammer mugs, that's link in the description. Also second to Pumpkin Fire crafts as well. And we have bike chains and belt chains and a few other things available, bookmarks, and some limited edition spoons. So we've got some good shit available. Finally getting that merch out there. We get our mugs. Yeah, put the biltong in a mug. You can drink the biltong, I guess. You could probably turn that shit into soup, actually. If you were to brew that down, especially the Japanese Wagyu, if you were to slow brew that, it probably would make a really competent soup. Maybe we need to do a joint cookbook thing, biltong recipes or something. E. Lombard, Curiosities of Olden Times. Yes, that is one of my favorites so far in the folkloric section. Excellent work by E. Sabine Gould. Ozzy's Robots. We need a necromancer to revive Manifesto Mary and re-decrease her several times over. Crazy how the establishment is censoring the pages of that racist. Yeah. Huns with Guns. Mr. Beast should be criticized for allowing his friend to abandon his wife to become a deranged cross-dresser. Don't give a fuck. Literally don't care. He is doing a good thing over in Africa, and he's being castigated for it. And so, as a fellow content creator of considerably smaller size, despite having 500,000 fucking subscribers, I'm going to defend him because he's being attacked by the legacy media, and I've got principles, dude. Swamp Donkey. Also, you see the army ads are no longer the diversity squad. Now they're all white again. They need more white people to be cannon fodder. I wouldn't join the fucking military at this point. I considered joining the Coast Guard back in the day because I like swimmy thing and it would be fun and you get money for it. Lots of tuition slashed off in college. So, yeah, I did actually think about joining the Coast Guard. Then I realized that the number of posts that are anywhere near Vermont were really limited. And I'm like, well, at that time, I wasn't so adventurous as I was a few years later. And they probably could have hooked me. If I had felt that adventurous, I would have said, oh, my God, you want to station me down in the Gulf of Mexico to kill narcos? Just sign me up. Yeah. Why did the cocaine go missing? I don't know. I accidentally dropped one of the bricks of it off board. I think that happens a lot. Wow, 24-hour crockpot soup is amazingly delicious. Yeah, if you did that with that biltong, that stuff would fall apart so easily. It would flake off into nothingness. It would just be thickener for the soup at that point. It'd be delicious. Anyway, first news story, CNN projection. Democrats sweep control of Virginia legislature and major blow to GOP Governor Youngkin. Yes, he's not having a great day either. Democratic challenger concedes to Mississippi Governor Tate Reeves. That was a rare win for the GOP on that one. I'm just listing these off. Democrats will expand their majority on Pennsylvania Supreme Court. And of course, Ohio legalized recreational marijuana, which I support completely, and also instituted a constitutional amendment to defend people's right to make their own medical decisions, effectively a blanket ban on banning abortion. And the GOP is pissed off about that. And for some bizarre reason, Donald Trump is being blamed for the Ohio Issue 1 decision specifically. That's the big one for them. They're talking about his endorsees, but really, whether Trump endorsed somebody or not, if you look at the full sampling of off-year elections, Trump did no worse than the mainline GOP. But you're not going to get that from the TDS sufferers. It's number one. Number two is regards to abortion. And I say this as somebody who is generally pro-choice. I know that some of you completely disagree with me on this. I know that you don't like the fact that I do believe that a woman should be able to access an abortion. I do believe in limits on that, as does pretty much every nation in the world that's actually developed. In Europe, for example, here, the limit tends to be 12 to 15 weeks or thereabouts. So it's first or, early second trimester. There are exceptions for if a person's been raped, etc. And they just sort of leave it at that. It's considered humane. The woman is capable of choosing, but you have to choose in a timely manner unless there's some sort of major reason why you were incapable of choosing. You were locked in somebody's basement after being raped for 20 weeks or something. Okay, well, a little bit of an extenuating circumstance there now, of course. I say this as somebody who is generally pro-choice, though. I don't side with the moralism of the hard line of the pro-life movement. You need to stop. You've lost on the issue. It's sort of like with gay marriage. Everyone, 10 years ago, 15 years ago, everyone's like, oh my God, gay marriage, this, gay marriage, that. And I came out in support of gay marriage long ago. And they would say that I was a cuck and I hated Jesus and all of these fucking things. It didn't even matter, though. Like I'm completely straight. I'm not interested in men. I'm not offended by people doing gay stuff. My favorite extended relative, my uncle, happens to be absolutely flaming, and I find him hilarious. But you can't even look at it from a moral perspective if you're a member of a political party. You have to look at it from a strategic one. The Republicans decided not to do that. They campaigned for years to end Roe v. Wade. And Donald Trump, by the way, was the one that got that done for them. Then they turn around and they immediately option a federal ban on abortion, and they wonder why they fucking lose. The GOP is dysfunctional. They don't know what they're doing. Lindsey Graham, Ron DeSantis, by the way, with his particular abortion ban in Florida. No, it's not an outright ban, but it's a pretty severe limitation. They've jumped the gun. The liberals on this issue completely overreached with Ralph Northam and people like that. Specifically with Northam, that was the big one. The liberals effectively said, well, we think that abortion is fine through the third trimester. Yeah, you're 2 days away from your due date. It's perfectly acceptable if you abort right now, which basically means a C-section and then murder. That's literally what it would mean in that circumstance. Full viability, blah, 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 etc. I don't need to be moralistic or a Christian or religious or anything to understand why that's wrong, nor should anybody else. Absolutely, at that point, past the point of viability, you are committing a murder against an infant. It's no longer a fetus, it's an infant. I don't have a moralistic bone in my body, but I can comprehend this. The GOP was handed a victory. The liberals went out on a limb, and then went out a little bit further and were literally flying off the goddamn limb of the tree in order to support limitless abortion access, which means third trimester, well past the period of viability. The GOP, instead of doing what it could have done, which is say, well, that's not sensible at all, basically are calling for infanticide. We stand against that. We believe in some reasonable limit on abortion. Maybe it's 12 weeks, maybe it's 14 weeks, whatever the fuck it happens to be. Certain exceptions may apply, depends on the situation. We're going to stick to our principles and do what Trump did and still continues to do and render it a state's issue. If Ohio wants to enshrine the right of abortion in its state constitution, we don't have a problem with that. Blobbity, blobbity, blah. They had that option. What did they do instead? Immediately, Lindsey Graham came out and shouted from the rooftops, no, now that Roe v. Wade is gone, we're going to have a national abortion ban. Trump never called for that. Donald Trump has been principled on his positions with regards to this issue. I love seeing the TDS sufferers blaming him for everything bad that happened in the last 24 hours when it was goddamn DeSantis that jumped the gun on the issue. Donald Trump remained true to the states' rights argument. He's the consistent one. He's not the one that lost these elections. And by the way, when people argue that Donald Trump is supposed to single-handedly prop up every candidate that he endorses, my fucking God, does that mean that the GOP is supposed to prop those candidates up because they endorse them all by default by being Republican candidates, and yet they shut off the spigot of money the second that they get endorsed by Donald Trump because Orange Man bad? This is the fault of people like Bitch McConnell. It's not the fault of people like Trump. And until GOP voters wake up and realize how shitty their party's leadership is, you're going to continue to lose. Trump has a chance. He's running well ahead in the polls. You were close to even on most of these ones. And there was no real reason to believe that Bashir, for example, would lose, or you were going to hold Virginia or any of these other things. I see people talking about how this is a bellwether of what's going to happen in 2024. Oh, really? So in other words, the polls will be roughly right. Well, because if I believe that, then Donald Trump will be reelected without goddamn any problem. He's currently 1.5 points ahead. He was never ahead in 2020. He was rarely ahead by a tiny margin in 2016, despite ending up winning. So I feel perfectly fine about nominating Donald Trump. You're effectively pitching him. You're almost endorsing Donald Trump. I realize the argument is from TDS, but that's bullshit. So yeah, it's the GOP's fault. They're just dysfunctional as a political party. They're cucks. They don't know how to win. When they're handed a clear-cut victory and people are, golf clapping them and telling them exactly what they can do to capitalize upon effectively what has been handed to them as a victory, they completely ignore it and they jump the gun. They can't win with grace. They just always have to fucking lose. Jew, hey Sticks, how big a blow was last night's election results? Does it paint to a bleak 24 picture? Lastly, did you see the Boogie 2988 documentary? No, I don't give a shit about Boogie or his drama, and not a huge blow. Who cares? Oh, marijuana got legalized in Ohio. Well, I support that. I'm pro-choice, so I have no problem with Ohio's issue 1 either. It was predictable what happened in Kentucky. I don't care. It's a big blow to the GOP, but I mean, they need a big blow. They need to wake up. Stop being idiots. Stephen Gloyd, issue 1 in Ohio allows post-birth abortion. I feel your coverage this morning was flippant and dismissive. If given the chance between Republicans' not at all approach and post-birth, I'll have to choose the side Republican. Yeah, but the thing is, the people codified that because the Republicans overstretched. If the GOP is offering no abortions for any reason, and the Democrats are offering you have the option of abortion, even if it's very open-ended, people will side with the Democrats. And I've warned of this before, but they're just too strategically stupid. They're just so stupid. The Republicans are just such fucking morons. I'm not talking about Republican. Many of you are Republican voters. I'm not necessarily talking about you. I'm talking about the party leadership. Bitch McConnell, Lindsey Graham, people like that. To his credit, Donald Trump is one of the people sitting it out on the issue and saying, let the states decide it. Well, Ohio decided. You're going to have to live with that. It's just the way that it is. You're not going to win every battle. Sparky, greetings, fearless leader. Greetings to you as well. Detroit Steel, morning from Mississippi. Sticks, my dad's 50. I think that's Michigan. My dad's 56th birthday was last week. We both like listening to you on the car ride home from work. You think Michigan will turn red? It's very possible. The polling is exceptionally close, much closer than it was in 2020. Sparky, good, bad, or indifferent, it's good in the big picture that states are asserting themselves. The federal government has gotten too powerful. That's the other point of it. I support states' rights completely. What the fuck is the problem? I thought the GOP stood by them, but as soon as the state makes a decision they don't like, they go all moralistic. Matthew Hammond, why are people surprised about Virginia? It is a suburb of D.C. full of government employees. As soon as Dems cast off Hong Kong, medical topic we can't bring up, they started voting again. Yeah, exactly. Cole Ross, you need to research the specifics of issue 1. I already have. I'm well aware of them. I'm talking about strategy, not morals. And that's how you have to do it if you want to be in politics. Hashtag Lego Creation 06. In New Mexico, no more deer are after the names. When looking up each person, Google sent me to the same sites for each person. I was told very little early voting. Some day was very busy at this voting place. SP Elite, GOP did bad? Feel like both sides did about the same. To be honest, I don't see what the Dems are gloating about, and the GOP is crying beside the abortion vote. Yeah, because Iowa is a red state, and they still got slamma-jammed there on several ballot issues because they decided to be moralistic assholes. Also, they decided that they thought that they were going to get rid of Bashir, even though the polling wasn't there. They had a one-off poll showing his competitor ahead. And they got big balls about it and got their expectations up, and now they're all sad. Well, I mean, I didn't even bother making a video about it because it's so fucking boring. In Kentucky. No shit. The incumbent in Kentucky won re-election. Really? Swamp Donkey, the GOP knows what it's doing. They want to lose. They're controlled op. 80% of people support first-term abortion. Besides, it's generally leftists getting them, so it's a win. Yeah, I mean, look at the demographics of abortion. I mean, the GOP should be careful what it wishes for. Wasted Bonehead, good morning from the grave. Sparky, without the go-to issues, gun control and abortion, I wonder if government can actually be a positive entity. No, government will always be just a necessary evil. Nothing more, nothing less. Ozzy's robots. Young men will lean pro-choice in case they inadvertently knock someone up they didn't intend to. Stupid hill for the GOP to die on. Exactly. Now, they refuse to acknowledge basic reality, and that's why they consistently lose. That's why clankers should be in charge of the GOP. We could transform it into something actually capable of winning. Next news story. House approves bill slashing Pete Buttigieg's salary to $1. Pete Buttigieg doesn't do his job, said the bill's author, Representative Marjorie Taylor Greene. This will not actually go through the Senate. Believe it or not, the Democrats will actually block this. In reconciliation on this budget item between the House and the Senate, this is going to be parsed out because it becomes unpassable. By the way, Joe Biden would have to sign off on the final bill. I don't think he's going to reduce the transport secretary's salary to $1. The symbolism, though, does matter because it's hearkening to the incident with regards to the East Palestine train derailment, which is literally mentioned in the bill, and the fact that Pete Buttigieg doesn't do his job. It's also a potential harbinger of what may happen to Kamala Harris. The House could very well decide to lower her salary to $1. Again, it doesn't do anything in the end. It doesn't pass, but it would be symbolic because she's the border czar and she refuses to visit the border. Pete Buttigieg only visited East Palestine because Donald Trump decided a couple days prior to visit, preempting the Biden admin, and Biden probably called him on the phone immediately and said, "Oh, come on, man, you got to get yourself down there and do some push-ups behind the woodshed. Please, we have to look like we actually give a damn about these fucking hayseeds out there because otherwise it'll be political suicide." That's what really happened. Nothing is actually going to occur with regards to this proposal, even though it did pass in the House. But that's just the Republicans run it. The symbolism, meanwhile, actually matters. I'm proud to announce my amendment to fire Pete Buttigieg has passed the House. Pothole Pete, I like that moniker, by the way, staged fake bike rides to the White House and used private planes funded by taxpayers to receive awards for the way certain people have sex, Green said in a social media post Tuesday. American taxpayers should not be on the hook for paying for his lavish trips or his salary. Yes, his use of private planes also is well beyond the pale for most public officials. It is considerably beyond it might be beyond goddamn Joe Biden's usage of private planes at this point, or of taxpayer-funded trips in under first-class conditions. Buttigieg is really a goddamn jet setter. He loves to travel. He just doesn't like to travel to zones that have actually been impacted by some natural or artificial disaster that requires the attention of the transport secretary. So Marjorie Taylor Greene does get a win on this one, although in the end the win is, again, symbolic. It has nothing to do with it actually sticking. They're not going to, unfortunately, Pete Buttigieg will not get one Washington in return for his year's work. Deus Flex. As someone who honestly doesn't care what states decide on abortion, I can't help but be amused that the pro-life mandate won't be fulfilled by the GOP, but by the next 20 to 30 years of Catholic Hispanic Americans, the woke left insist on letting in. Yeah, there is an element of Catholic moralism there that the Democrats at the moment don't seem to care about, which is funny. Yeah, the GOP can do absolutely nothing because they're just so strategically blind. The ones that can get something done, like Trump, again, you get elected, you change SCOTUS, Roe v. Wade ends, you're able to limit abortion. Nobody wants it banned. Nobody wants 9-month abortions either. You have to actually hold a sane position on the issue to get elected in the first place. Trump understands that. Lindsey Graham doesn't. That's the long and short of it. Slinkman. Hey, Sticks, have you seen the show on YouTube called Digital Circus? Never heard of it, actually. All of your youthful references. King of Biltong, good morning from Anton's in Roanoke, Texas. Free shipping for your Biltong using code STICKS on www.landofbiltong.com and www.antonsusa.com. Biltong stew is a thing. Search Biltong Putye. We put it in everything. Oh, well, I guess that answers my question. We'll make a cookbook together sometime. Next time when I'm back in Rutland, you ship me some of that Angus and I'll cook something with it. That'd be funny. By the way, again, there's a link in the description, cross-platform. You can get various merch there. We've got shirts, we've got mugs, and we've got tumblers available on his websites as well. Now, this is a news story that probably some people didn't expect that I would make. I knew virtually nothing about Mr. Beast before being introduced to the content by my niece, who is currently 8 years old, back in Rutland when I was there on my visit. I didn't like the content. There are some things there that are kind of interesting. It's a sort of like the modern attention-seeking content that you tend to get. It's very typical of Gen Z style, like catering to Gen Z and Gen Alpha in some cases, content. So Mr. Beast is not my cup of tea when it comes to like what I'm going to watch in the evening. I prefer the older, more boring, dry content style, and I guess I'm outing myself as the boomer that I am with regards to the tech world. So I would rather watch an old school documentary. In fact, a lot of the shit that I watch made before I was born. I love old 80s documentaries, even shit from the 70s, especially the paranormal stuff like In Search Of with Leonard Nimoy. Any of those old documentaries. There's an old Loch Ness documentary from like 76 or something on YouTube and elsewhere. It's a couple hours long. I love watching that. The old narration, the old dry, but at the same time, somehow over the top British like narration. It just trips my trigger. Mr. Beast, therefore, is not a content creator that I'm going to watch, but he is a content creator that I support in his particular charitable endeavor. He's being castigated right now for building wells to give clean drinking water to African villagers. Yes, why? Because he shamed the nation of Kenya. The Kenyans are being shamed. No, he's shaming the government of Kenya for being unable to offer this service to their people. And I wish him well in his endeavors. If you're going to do charitable endeavors, good on you. Change the world in a positive way. Somebody will survive because of Mr. Beast. Well, that's more than you can say for the goddamn politicians. Here's the tagline. This is what Yahoo News says about this. So he's got a thing where he wanted to drill in wells. He personally financed this and I think partially crowdfunded him, if I remember correctly, to drill in a bunch of wells so that people in rural Kenya could get access to clean, safe drinking water. Because right now, people literally drink out of puddles. Well, American YouTuber Mr. Beast's goal was to provide clean drinking water for 500,000 people. Activists who, by the way, say his actions shamed the Kenyan government and helped perpetuate the stereotype that Africa is dependent on handouts. Can I please ask Yahoo News and all the other sites that are replicating this bullshit something? If the Kenyan government is not dependent on handouts and is capable of delivering that water, why haven't they done that? Also, if somebody is willing to finance itself so the Kenyan government can, I don't know, get another grain shipment so people can also have good food or something, why the fuck are you castigating and dogpiling this dude? You do not have to like a content creator's content creation. I don't have a problem with it. It's just not my style. To understand that he's doing some good. Dude, and the other thing, people are like, oh my God, you insinuate that Africa is dependent on handouts. Dude, half of Africa would outright collapse into anarchy if it weren't for grain shipments from the US, now partially from China in a few of those countries, and from parts of Europe. Shipments from other countries because of the overflow of goods, because of the modern agricultural practices in places like the US, the Netherlands, oddly, France, China, results in a surplus that's capable of being sent to people in Africa so that they don't die. There are anthropological problems with this. You have suppressed the local farmers, and so you've kind of kept them in perpetual not growing their own crops mode, although the weather can be a problem. There are stability issues there. The infrastructure needs to be built to be there in order for people to stabilize. What the fuck is Mr. Beast doing? He's building infrastructure. He's doing exactly what he should be doing. And he's doing what's right. He's not doing what, even though he's being better than the Western governments. Western governments like, oh, you've got a famine going on? Well, here's 100,000 tons of wheat. That's wonderful. Now all the farmers are out of business. He's giving them clean water that they can produce locally. That's why they have a problem with him. It might empower the people of those African countries. They don't want them empowered. They want them to absorb the produce from the United States because we have so much overflow. It's basically just economics. The legacy media probably got this goddamn tip from the Biden administration. Well, he's going to fuck around with U.S. farmers. It's gonna screw with the price of corn. It's going to screw with the price of sorghum or something like that. They probably got this straight from the Biden administration to attack the dude. By the way, I would point out one unfortunate thing, which is that within 10 years, without proper maintenance, those well systems will no longer be clean water. Unfortunately, the people there don't necessarily have the academic expertise or the equipment to maintain those systems. The Kenyan government will be responsible for doing that. Will they? Well, they didn't build him in the first place. That's why he's there. So we're hoping that things stabilize more in that and other countries where he's operating. And I think that's a good thing. You have less dead infants and shit like that. That's a good thing in the world. The problem being the maintenance involved. That might be an issue down the road. Wow. Will religion come back as a reaction to the woke left? It appears to already be doing that. Not a bad account. What are the odds President Harris runs in 2024? Effectively zero. I don't think that the Democrats would let her even if Joe croaked of a stroke tomorrow. Transylvanian 90. Abortion is to the GOP what CRT and the border are to Dems. Their self-defeating way of making sure the uniparty keeps the two sub-parties on par. Yes, I agree with you. It's a losing issue, but people won't listen because they're Republicans. Morgan Weiss, the universe is created by sound vibrations. Yeah, or sound vibrations are a reflection as above, so below. Wasted Bonehead. Sigil still hasn't streamed or uploaded anything on his channel. He's giving me blue balls on trolling his ass. And a follow-up. We was Kangs. Wakanda forever. Yeah, I mean, you don't need to be Kangs. You just need to be able to provide a rudimentary lifestyle. Roof over your head, clean water, food to eat, and not freeze to death or, die of fucking dehydration or something like that. If the Kenyan government is incapable of stabilizing things for their people, and this YouTuber goes in and helps them, why on earth should he be criticized for that? It's like if I got a GoFundMe sort of thing going, and I ask Clankers for money, I'm like, I'm going to do a mission trip to Rwanda or something. And I'm going to build solar panels for these African villages so that they can power their schools, so that they've got electricity. So I'm sure somebody would criticize me. Oh my God, the Nazi is trying to, win over the hearts and minds of Africans as part of a takeover attempt or something. It's just for economic purposes. They literally want to keep the black man down. And I know some of you will disagree with me, but economically speaking, that's literally what Western governments do. We create so much surplus with grain and legumes especially, we have nothing to do with it. So unless you want to burn it in the fields, which doesn't go over well with your population, what do? You put it in bushel baskets and you send it over to a starving African nation. You get rid of the overflow, out of sight, out of mind. The farmers get paid, so you have a destabilized agriculture. The public doesn't see you doing, John Steinbeck shit and literally destroying the crops out in the field and letting it rot into the soil because of surplus. And again, the balancing of the economic issues attendant to mass agriculture. No, and you feel like you're helping people, but you're not really helping them. Mr. Beast is helping them, though. They've got clean water. They've got their own infrastructure now. He could have just shipped in a bunch of water. Well, I've supplied this. He could have made a video. I've supplied this African village with clean water for a year. Sponsored by Dasani. That's not what he did now, was it? Sparky. Sticks, you've expressed loyalty to the U.S. Hope it's just nostalgia and doesn't diminish your loyalty to Clank Nation. We fear you'll send the treasure we plundered to the U.S. as humanitarian aid. Yes, Clankdom is always my home as well. But I was born in the United States. Next news story, general election, Trump versus Biden. Donald Trump is kicking it out of the park. In the latest polls, he is up in most of them. CNN +4, Morning Consult +2, CBS +3, Messenger +2, tied on YouGov, behind by 1 on Quinnipiac, +4 on Harris, tied in USA Today, +2 in Emerson, 1 behind on Yahoo, and tied on Seltzer. Altogether, +1.4. Donald Trump is officially running ahead of his opponent. This is something that almost never happened. In fact, in the aggregate, I'm not 100% sure that it ever did in 2016. And it literally never happened. There were 2 or 3 polls, period, throughout the whole polling period in 2020, in which Donald Trump had like a 1-point lead. And yet he came out about even. Not with the popular vote, but even after honk-honked the ballots being freshly printed, Donald Trump almost won re-election in 2020 despite being 7 points behind in the aggregate. Now, that narrowed to only 4 points behind on election day, but still, that's a considerable deficit. He's ahead in this race. He's been fairly consistently running at least about even with Joe Biden. Joe Biden's best period, if I remember correctly, let me check here. I'm fact-checking live. His best period was about a +2. And that was back in the end of 2022, actually. If I go to maximum polling, Donald Trump has run ahead about half the time, and the other half of the time is basically stark even with Joe Biden right now. If nothing changes, and I don't think that Donald Trump's inevitably being found guilty of 1 or more felony crimes and possibly running from the Mar-a-Lago under house arrest will actually be that change. If nothing else significant changes, so the economy doesn't start soaring inexplicably, if anything, it's going the other direction. The border doesn't get successfully clamped shut because clearly it's going the other direction. We have some major foreign policy victory. We haven't had even a minor victory under Biden. I would suspect that Donald Trump will very, very easily win re-election. I don't even think that there are enough ballot printers to stop that at this point. We're probably going to see a situation that this is the most likely outcome for the 24 election, and it's goddamn great. We are most likely to see a person who's currently under house arrest winning re-election against the incumbent inexplicably, and then the entire system completely melting down. That's probably what we're going to see. I think there are worse things in the world. If we re-elect Biden, you're effectively, a vote for Biden is a vote for 4 more years of dysfunction and retardation. A vote for Trump is a return to a vote, is basically a vote for a return to being able to have a little breathing room. It's not going to be perfect. Trump will be stalled out completely from day one by obstruction. Will he have successes? Yes. Will they be underwhelming compared to what people expect of him? Absolutely, just like his first term. I'll be the first person who supports Trump to tell you, I don't expect him to have many major victories in a second term, but they will exist, and it will be better than the alternative by a long sea mile. And you'll see plenty of smaller victories along the way. That's why I'll be voting for him, because the alternative is goddamn trash. The American people apparently are coming around to that realization. Again, you've got to understand that a plurality of the voters are currently supporting someone who is very, very, very likely to face felony charges, get convicted of them, and could even be running from a jail cell. But they support him anyway. And they ain't all Republicans. I'm an independent voter. I don't have any loyalty to the Republican Party of any sort, and I never will. It's never going to happen. If anything, I like Trump because he's not like a typical Republican, not because he is a member of the party out of necessity. Lieutenant Siver, it's not the farmers, it's the fact that socialist or communist government isn't doing it. That's why the leftists and press complain. Yeah, that's the other thing. It's a private individual doing private charitable efforts, and supposedly that's not supposed to work. It's all supposed to be through the government. You got a good point. Wow, % chance the deep state works to give Trump a stroke. Yeah, I mean, the CIA has a heart attack gun, supposedly, so maybe they'll drag that out. Anyway, it's entirely possible that they try to take a shot. They may or may not be successful. I'm talking about what happens if Trump is not keeled over on election day. White Sparrow, need help paying for my dog. Nana's cancer surgery on fixed income. Fundraiser would count as income and I'd lose benefits. Need donations to Eskridge Vet Clinic in Cannon City, Colorado. Please help. Okay. Wasted Bonehead Sticks. I've got a restraining order on Sigil, but his dumbass can't read it. Again, our greatest meme of the current year is definitely Sigil versus Wasted. Not a banned account. Equity now. Hashtag draft our daughters. End NATO sexism. Yeah, I think we should just do away with the concept of even a preliminary draft, which isn't in effect, but it should never be capable of existing at all. Ministry of Wrongthink. You see Zelensky's Nigerian prince letter plea? Yes, I saw him complaining about the fact that Israel had knocked him on his ass. Very interesting now, isn't it? Chris Jansen, 1999. No comment. Thank you very much. Doc Holliday. Facing the headboard and biting holes in pillows does not qualify one to be transportation secretary. Yes, but does he top or bottom? We're not sure, actually. Maybe they're both switches, Who knows? Honestly, I just don't care. Next news story, we've got the third Republican debate, I believe, actually this evening. I'm sure that 2 or 3 of you will tune into it. If you do tune into it, by the way, if you see anything massively cringe or like really funny or something, please do send me a Twitter DM with a link. Like you can, get the video yourself, get credit on tomorrow's live stream potentially for that, or just a news link or something. Make sure to archive it through archive.today first, please, so that they don't get any ad revenue from me clicking them. I'm probably just going to pay attention to some clips after the fact. Here's what the third presidential debate for the Republicans will be. A handful of also-rans, because Pence isn't there anymore. I'm not sure that Tim Scott even qualified, actually. So basically, it's DeSantis versus Haley for second place. They're going to lambaste each other. In the lead up to Iowa, they're probably going to get kind of fiery. So it might be fiery on a different level than the past few debates. So that's good, I suppose. Nobody will tune in. Nobody give a fuck. But in the end, everyone will be spinning it different ways. The DeSantis' perfect crowd, like the Max Nordaus of the world, the crypto politics, will be saying that he won. They'll probably post that within 2 seconds of the end of the debate. It's inevitable. They'll declare him the winner. He probably won't be, but they'll declare it. Nikki Haley will probably prevail, at least in the rhetorical sense, but not ideologically. She's not got enough time at this point to make up for lost time. And of course, DeSantis just got Reynolds' endorsement, giving him a couple extra points in Iowa. I think that probably keeps him in the distant second place slot and sort of edges out Nikki Haley. She goes by the wayside, by the way, not that long from now. Of course, we're getting on towards halfway through November. In the end, it'll be a jumbled mess. The moderators will probably suck. They're going to be asked questions that are inane and nobody gives a fuck about anyway. And it'll be a bore fest. And Donald Trump, meanwhile, will be busy doing actual work. I don't know if he's holding a counter rally tonight or not, although he'd be advised to. Maybe he's got a court appearance or something like that. A little bit of election interference. Nobody's going to give a goddamn fuck, though. I'm not going to tune in to watch these people because they're formulaic. Ron DeSantis will do a few nerdy quips. In general, he'll look uncomfortable and unpersonal. Nikki Haley will be very well spoken, but the things she actually says will be batshit. Vivek Ramaswamy, I guess, will be there for what little it's worth. And who gives a fuck about the rest of the field? Christie gets on stage. You'd think that it was basically Donald Trump campaigning because he doesn't talk about anything else. He's got not a single goddamn plank in his platform that doesn't have a contraposition to something that Trump did or said over the last decade. It's literally all that it is. It's going to be retarded. And nonetheless, I'm going to have to force myself to watch clips of these morons just so that I can report to you tomorrow. I'll do it for you, but if some brave clankers want to actually watch the debate, I mean, there are worse things on TV. I didn't think I'd rather watch C-SPAN, ironically. But I mean, there's always, the Home Improvement Channel or something like that. That's worse. you know, whatever fucking stupid drama they've created lately, criminal drama, medical drama, honk honk, any other sort of drama, fuck drama. I'd rather watch a comedy show or something like that, or, you know, reruns again of In Search Of, but I don't know. I'm going to have to at least watch some of the clips. If you can get me any interesting clips, please do provide context. Don't truncate it. I prefer a beefy amount of context so that I know that it's legit, because I don't want to be the legacy media. So Clankers, honor system here. Please don't provide me any out of context quotes from DeSantis that make him look worse than he is or something like that, because I do actually want to do fair reporting. That's why I don't work for like Fox or MSNBC. I would stream it, but I'm in the Netherlands, so, you know, I can't do that. I'd rather stream something Trump related, but again, a little bit of a different time zone. Medic Babe 21D. Why do people act like frontline infantry is the only job in the military? Geez, cripes, people. Medical and logistics jobs exist and are very necessary. Yeah, I mean, someone's got to peel the potatoes too and shit like that. But a lot of people are more infantry geared. I look at DeSantis. He was just a lawyer for a bunch of Navy SEALs who never saw combat. But he definitely likes to show that picture of him in his body armor that he didn't need to wear at the time. Mulgara85. Morning, Sticks. I'm going to see Dave Smith do stand-up live on Saturday. It should be a blast. Sounds cool. JMonty0071. Well, if Biden doesn't win in 24, perhaps he will do a spokesman-type commercials for Depends adult diapers. Yeah, or for Prudential prune smoothies or something. Mulgara85. Pugs are abominations. They are like if God sneezed, and I love them. Dachshunds are better, though. That's my contribution to the stream today. Cool. Now, I feel sorry for pugs. They're literally, you know, genetically deformed. So, M. Hannon, do you believe the 2024 election won't be rigged? Just lost faith after election night 2020 when they stopped counting in AM. Biden miraculously won. Again, there is an enormous differential within polling, which was not rigged by the ballot machines. It's a 7-point difference. It's enormous. Like, it's literally day and night on steroids. No, I think that there will be an attempt to rig the election. I think ballot printers will go burr. But in a couple of those states that were rigged before, you've seen de-rigging going on. You've got an enormous differential. You've got Biden weakened by baggage, and you've got a dysfunctional, fractious Democratic Party. The Republicans can be counted on to throw MAGA under the bus once again, by and large. The uniparty Republicans like McConnell will do that. This time around, though, you don't have a unified Democratic Party. And you've got baggage. And you've got a bad economy. And you've got wars breaking out. And you've got a couple of those states defortified. I think that Trump absolutely can be reelected. I do have hope that that will happen. We'll see. I mean, we're going to have to monitor the polls for a very long time. It's not even 2024 yet. I'm just saying that the signs look much more positive than they were in 2020. Hell, they actually look more positive than they were in 2016, to tell the truth. Deus Flex, what's the likelihood of a wild card event of Trump getting JFK'd after getting elected? Unfortunately, measurable. And it shouldn't be the case, but it is. Christina, thanks, Clankers and Sticks. Metal dog tags now available as well as larger dinner spoons. Clank along with sticks. Yes, so pumpkin fire. You can look that up in the description. There is a link there. So dog tags are now available as well. Clank along. Chris Jansen, I'm worried about Newsom and Michelle. Newsom is the Prince of Darkness. Newsom has some disadvantages and baggages too, especially with regards to the pandemic response. Michelle Obama has effectively ruled out a political life. I know that a lot of people think that she's going to come in last minute. I don't think that that's going to happen. I think she's actually genuine when she says she's not interested. Corto Maltese, you should play World of Horror. I think you might like it. And then the final thing here, we've got a CNN poll matchup here, but I just wanted to talk about Trump and polling in general. CNN poll, Trump narrowly leads Biden in hypothetical rematch. It's a little bit beyond narrow at this point in some of the polling, by the way, and it's going in a good direction if you happen to be a Trump fan like myself. I just wanted to point out again and reiterate this. When people get blackpilled and say Trump can't win, they need to compare the polls that they're seeing this year to the polls that they saw in 2016 and 2020. Trump is several points ahead of where he was in 2016. He's light years ahead of where he was in 2020. Even with the ballot printers going brrr, Donald Trump barely lost re-election by technically less than 100,000 points across 3 states. Couple 100,000 if you count all 6 of the battleground states that he honk supposedly lost. A few 100,000 votes. The size of a mediocre-sized city. Like, we're talking not that much bigger than Burlington, Vermont's metro population. And that was the differential. If Donald Trump remains roughly where he is in polling, hell, he might even increase his lead. He will win re-election. It won't be close. He probably ends up winning Virginia at that point. It might end up in the case where he trades out Virginia for Wisconsin. He's still behind in Wisconsin. We've also got state-by-state polling, though. The state-by-state polling, including with RFK Jr. involved and Cornel West for what little it's worth, shows Trump actually a little bit further ahead. In the swing states, he's actually outpacing his national total according to the polling that we have. Possibly because people in a state that went for Biden that had gone for Trump have more likelihood of buyer's remorse. It's an entire possibility. There's nothing wrong with saying that there might be voters that are like, shit. I voted to get rid of mean tweets. I wasn't sold on Trump. He's kind of an asshole. But then I vote for this other guy and shit hits the fan and it all goes to hell. Well, at least when Trump was president, my life was a little bit better. Yeah, I had to deal with the fact that the president's being an asshole to some foreign dignitary or saying something off the wall, but he didn't start a war. Gas prices were, 60, 70% lower, some crazy margin like that. And I could afford groceries and didn't have credit card debt. I think in the end, part of it will be the economy, part of it will be the border, and part of it will be the multiple wars breaking out. And that, in the end, I think is what might clinch it for Donald Trump's re-election bid. My hope, my dearest hope, is that he goes Grover Cleveland mode. Second non-consecutive term, unprecedented, having been under 90-plus indictments, probably running under house arrest, and yet still is re-elected. Complete redemption arc. It is perfectly American. It could be literally the symbol of the modern United States. It's like a goddamn Gatsby moment or something like that. It will enter the halls of Americana. And we millennials especially have an outsized, I think, opportunity to involve ourselves with this. We're old enough to do activism, but we're young enough to be passable. And many of us have significant audiences. If we can do that and get Trump reelected, it will be the ultimate meme. And just think about the salt, the meltdown afterwards, how goddamn funny it will be. If Trump's not reelected, there won't be as much salt. It's just you'll have 1/10 the salt. Core MAGA fans will be really, really upset. But a lot of the black-pilled, like, I like Trump, but I don't think he can win types, won't even be surprised. They'll be like, well, I knew it. I'm going to bow my head solemnly and watch as my republic burns. But if the left loses, because they're all expecting to win right now for the most part, they're ignoring the polls entirely and expecting their fans to do the same. They will, these people go ballistic. They'll go completely nuts. They'll be throwing their Chardonnay from Martha's Vineyard out the window and melting down on live streams and crazy shit like that. And I will be live streaming the election results, by the way, by hook or crook, no matter what time zone I'm on. I don't care if I have to get a goddamn hotel room, and I'm already planning to have Sleazy P. Martini back on as co-host again. By the way, I've got to re-email him because I think he emailed me, but then I lost the thread. Whoops, that was a while ago. Anyway, I do believe that Trump can be reelected. I think, in fact, that it's more likely than not at this point. Aussie's Robots, the New York case against Trump is so blatantly absurd, people should be concerned over this type of asset confiscation. That said, he will ultimately have a case to sue for damage. This caused his brand. Yeah, he'll appeal and win on repeal, but the point is not to make that case stick. The point is to have the case. That's what they're trying to do. They're just trying to make Trump look guilty. On appeal, I think he prevails, but they're hoping that that's beyond the election, basically. Budley, any thoughts on a united Ireland? I think I'll leave that up to the Irish. It's their choice. It's their country. Lifecock, I saw Tool last night. It was pretty awesome. I'm not a huge fan of Tool. It's all right, but it's not 100% my bag. Wow, they'll sunset Trump. The deep state doesn't want a Grover Cleveland 2.0. The backlash would be great, but manageable. Losing their power is not. It remains to be seen whether they're capable of doing that. Anyways, I'm going to go offline. I thank you to the 5,000 people who tuned in live. Keep in mind, of course, tomorrow I will go live again. I'm making fried chicken tonight. So yeah, it's going to be a great time. And I make really good goddamn fried chicken. By the way, pro tip, use panko. Don't use regular breadcrumbs. It'll be crunchier in the end. Lots and lots of herbs go into that shit. I use 1,000,000 pounds of paprika for the goddamn fried chicken. RS3T Cool Guy. Have a great day today, Sticks. Already am. To you too as well. Professor Plaguebat. Beep. Yeah, I got to bring the beeper back in. Thank you for reminding me, actually, because it's not mine, so I'm not going to leave it outside in case it rains or something. But I'm not going to be distracted for an hour listening to the key beepy thing that I'm not even sure. I guess you're supposed to whistle to trigger it, but it seemed to be more triggered by me just talking. I have no clue what's going on. Technology is completely beyond me. Maybe it's fucked up in some way. Yeah, Billy Boy, I wish I had collard greens to go with the fried chicken. I would eat the shit out of them. Problem is, you can't get collards in this country. It seems that they're not grown in Europe, I guess, or something like that. I don't have the room to grow my own. I've grown big-ass collards and cooked them off before, and trust me, they are good. And if you saw the cost of okra in this country, you'd think, goddamn, you could have a black market okra operation in the United States and probably pay the Chinese to smuggle it across and actually make a lot of money doing that. I can't remember the exact cost, but it is goddamn high for okra in this country. And I'm not sure why, because you would think you started indoors, it's not that difficult to grow. But apparently the Dutch haven't figured that one out. They're too busy with their tulips. That's about all. Peace out.